All right. Well, hello and welcome to Field Crew Huddle Hot Take, where we're going to be watching one of the videos that's been submitted through the Field Crew Huddle YouTube channel. Do some real-time take on what some industry experts and myself seem to think about what's happening in the video and why we might be getting some of the views, or how we can share some of the insights from some folks with some real-world experience about what's occurring and what we can learn. So I'm going to start this out by sharing screen and playing one of the videos that it has gotten a fair amount of attention through the website thus far. So it's called Lean Carts for Electricians. And we'll start it and then we'll pause and take a couple of conversations as we go.
So here at Parsons, what we did is we came up with a new concept called a lean cart. And what this is a lockable cart for each journeyman or electrician to use on site. Instead of at the end of the day coming back to the gang box and throwing all their tools in there, they each have their own little lockable cart. And it comes standardized with a drill and impact. It's got a hole socket, extension cord. We put a little receptacle inside there so they can charge their tools up, and at the end of the day, they can lock it up, go home, come back, and they can just begin the work right away instead of a good half-hour reset every morning. So over the time, we've noticed some issues that come about. So one of the first ones is that they had an exterior handle that would get knocked off when it goes through doorways or so, and it'd start coming back looking like this. So instead of doing a bunch of different things with hasps and strut bars across, we came up with this, and we have sheet metal connectors down the road. They fabricate this for us, but it just goes into a little notch we carve in through there, and then an eyeball to put the lock right on there. So we still have a nice secured way you can't get into it. So as far as we go with repairing, that was to the extent. Now that's been about 5 or 6 years. So we now have a newer brand, which is the
cutter.
Yes, and so there used to be a porta band saw that was in here. They had no way of securing their conduits, so we came up with the concept of welding some angle iron with a couple brackets, mounting it right into the side of the cart, and a little C-clamp, so they can put any kind of conduit. They get their rigid, their EMT, they can even do strut. And once we put the C-clamp in there, that's their nice way of securing it. We even further went and did a different style C-clamp over the years, where we actually have a quick release button, so they can sit and drop down into their conduit right away instead of sitting spinning for X amount of seconds.
All right. I'm going to pause it there and pause the screen share for a second so we can dig in what's going on. So I'm going to put Matt, who our resident electrician from Rosen Electric, going to put you on the spot. What's your gut reaction looking at electric carts?
I love it. I mean, obviously, if you're in a place where security isn't a huge concern and you have the opportunity to not have to take all of your tools, well, if you don't have to take all of your tools back to a big, safe, super safe gang box every day, and you have the ability to kind of lock them up in your tool area, I mean, that's sweet. You're not battling other people grabbing the same tools. You have the same familiarity with the same tools you're using. I mean, for electricians, conduit benders are a big thing. So if you could sneak a small conduit bender in there, and the same tools that you're familiar with using them, they all have their own little quirks and things that you kind of come familiar with. I think it's fantastic. I mean, a lot of times when they build game box, they build them so even with a torch, it can be really hard to get into them. So if you're in a real big city where there's a lot of active crime, I can see that being probably an issue. But in a lot of the areas where you don't have that, like you don't have that type of crime, I think it's a super good idea.
No, so it's intriguing. So it wasn't my gut reaction thinking about security in my stuff watching the video, but it makes a lot of sense if it's your tools or if there's a concern about I know that from a job site you always think about material loss, but we don't always focus on small hand tools and such, but I could see where that would be a concern too. So that ability to lock it up and have sort of individualized tool cart to go grab and just get to work is an intriguing idea.
Right. Yeah. The same way that, Henry in the mechanical piece, and in that trade, the same way in that trade in electrical, I mean, there's a lot of tools that, I've had a pair of lineman pliers for, 18 years. So if I throw them in that little box and they get stolen, I'm going to be Inspector Gadget looking for where they went. You know what I mean? So that's a big deal. I mean, the company's tools as a hired, hand, not a big priority, you know, for a lot of tradespeople, but your personal tools are the highest priority. Yeah.
So Henry, coming from the sheet metal side, is this kind of the size scale cart you would expect to go grab off the cuff to do your kind of work in the field, or is it?
Yeah, we actually had some similar kind of toolboxes that we created as well. So the idea is great, and I just taking someone's, taking an idea and recognizing a problem you have, and then trying to find a solution is going to be a win for me no matter what. So even the fact that not trying to have a hasp and have this thing close all the line, because that's going to last for just a short amount of time, and getting the sheet metal workers of fab that bracket or whatever for it to keep it in place. Again, just connecting with your team and how can you help us out here. So I just appreciate the fact that anytime someone is taking some idea or trying to minimize or remove waste, this is one of the ways. And one of the biggest things that we find wasteful is our beginning and our start of our day. And so if I can start people in a position where they're at their workstation and they're close to where their work is because they're carts and all that, but if you got to go into one location and you spend 15 minutes getting set up, 15 minutes taking down, that's a half an hour every day gone. But if you can put that concentrated tool bucket or tray or box in a remote location that's closer to where you're going to get your work started and ended, or roll around where you're going, it just makes life a lot easier. So I love the idea because it simplifies things. And to Matt's point, definitely would consider the how secure the building is, right? That's something we buy all of our tools as sheet metal workers. So everything we come in that job with, besides our power tools, there are tools. And there's a huge loss, something we manage here, and every year of how many tools, or every project, how many tools walk away, and it's almost like people go into the store to get tools that aren't theirs, and there's so much loss that you account for in your budget. And so if you can minimize that, but having a secure job allows you to do something like that is pretty cool. So again, minimizing that walking around time and knowing your tools are there every day, they're yours, easy to get your day going and end it.
And the other piece is the conduit clamp. Sorry to cut you off. The conduit clamp is sweet. So one of the biggest things we see in construction is back injuries, right? I mean, on the very top of the food chain there, as far as like common injuries that we see. So not having to bend over, that's a huge deal. So being able to clamp that conduit and make the cuts and, put the marks on your conduit before you bend it, things of that nature, working elevated as opposed to bending over, or taking it from where you're at to some other location that's at the same height, or similar height. So you're not bending over, like stacks of drywall or other things that we might see on a standard job site to take your measurements or do your math. So that's huge too. Plus it's not going to go anywhere. You can kind of clamp it down. That's another super sweet addition.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, I love that they, doing little things to just make it more convenient. And it's a direct safety and ergonomic thing, right? You're not getting those injuries or those, repetitive stress challenges. But the second one is it's adding to efficiency, right? It's right there. It's at working height. You don't need to find the place to bend over and mark it or bend it or whatever you're actually working on. So I think it's kind of got dual benefit there, both to the workforce and to the work that's getting put in place. All right, let's jump back to it, because I think he talks about some other improvements they worked through over the time that they've been working on these carts.
Then also on the outside here, we've got two sleeves where they can put both their quarter, 3/4 and 1/2 inch bender on the sides. There's the electrical as well, so they can plug in. Well, parts divider bin on the top for all the material. And as I say, over the years, things get banged up, and we've kind of come up with a new concept. NAC has come out with this different wrap, where instead now the handle is recessed on the inside, so we're taking out that issue of handles getting banged around. You can see now this is a fully loaded one. Another nice thing that we've done internally is we color code all the tools with a blue paint, because our standard drills and impacts are individually tracked in our tool system. The lean cart ones are no longer. They used to be before. But instead of me having to know this 1/4 inch impact with a specific unique number, when all of a sudden this got mixed up in the other lean cart and they came back, there was an issue. Oh, you didn't give me back my right 1/4 inch impact. So we'd have all these pending carts that would be sitting around forming whatever. So what we're doing is we're now treating this as a quantity tool. So just the same, when we check it out, does it have a cord? Does it have a hole saw? Does it have a 1/4 inch impact? So what we did is we painted them blue as an identifier for my team inside. So when we see blue tools, we know that it's just a quantity tool instead of a unique. So we're getting the bottom of the batteries as well as the chargers on the bottom are all blue as well. So yeah, lots of improvements on the side. And then one of the other favorite ones that we've got is the strut pieces on the back here. This is able to hold a 6-foot ladder upright. You hang it on the back rung. And we have this one here just to keep it even so it's not slanting forward or back. But they're able to go through a standard doorway with the ladder upright. As they push, they move their whole unit in one shot.
Continuous improvement.
Continuous improvement.
So really quick on that one, man. There's 2 things that stand out with me. Is one, any company like say NAC that is supplying to our industry and choose to listen and partner with us is a win. Because one, what they're going to create is going to be what we're going to buy. Why? Because we have been instrumental in telling them what they need to do for us. And they listen, they do it, and we're going to buy your product. So that partnership, and I've seen that happen in other industries, in the technical world, with the construction industry, trying to figure out what do we really need, and listening to us and going to job sites and taking surveys and then implementing these different innovations based on what the customer wants. So that's like a win-win. The other thing was so this company listening to their people. I can tell you, if every drill and every battery is assigned to a person, you're just wasting so much time looking for that one drill that's probably in somebody else's gang box, and I have one right in front of me. But because my number is not assigned to it, suddenly let's go on a wild goose chase for the next freaking 4 hours when I have a drill in front of me. So that's, again, listening to your team, about what's important, and then implementing something that's so simple and saying we're not going to track these individual items and assign them to a person. We're going to say as long as they have the set, the battery, the charger, and the drill, does it matter if it's the right number? It's like so that was that one. That's like simple brilliance, but eliminates so much frustration on a job site, right?
And I like the paint, right? So it's an easy one of, I don't need to double check that this battery goes. I'm like, that's a simple indicator. If it's blue, I just need to make sure it's in it's one of the boxes and we'll get it.
Right.
So that was a kind of a nice touch to make it simple for the team in the shop, the team that's, storing and setting up the boxes and out on the field. I like that trick and sort of easy visual indication.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, I said it at LCI this year that at Rosendin, it's going to sound crazy, but we like our electricians doing electrical work, right? Not playing Inspector Gadget, running all over the place, looking for, the actual drill that was assigned to them and the batteries, right? I mean, finding that tool is one thing. Finding the corresponding batteries in the charger, I could see that turning into a multi-hour affair to Henry's point,
Right.
Yes.
And I know batteries are getting expensive. I bought one the other day, right? They're $50, $100 sometimes to get some of those batteries. But if every electrician spends 5-10 minutes a day looking for a battery to get the exact right one back in their box, I mean, a crew is going to burn that in one day, the cost of just replacing one battery. So it's.
I like the idea of the ladder storage on the front. I mean, obviously if you're running a 4-foot ladder, it's probably pretty easy. If you're running a 6-foot or something larger, that can be a little wonky as far as like going through a doorway. But I can tell you what's really wonky is having it on the side and creating a much wider cart. So I think that's another good idea if that's working on their job site of securing that ladder, especially if it's staying put. It looks like it's probably staying put pretty well if they're using the same ladder that they put those spacings in for. So that strut was a pretty good idea as well.
Yeah, it's like
I'm guessing
right job, right?
Right.
it doesn't work for everything, but when it's the right tool for the right job, it's going to make everyone's life much easier and create an opportunity for that person to be just that much more efficient in the work they have to get done.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, and I'm guessing that's this is the card I grabbed that I stick the ladder on when I need to use a ladder, right? It might be if I'm doing receptacles, you may not need to grab the ladder that day, and you can roll a different card, or you can use that card without sticking the ladder on it too. So it's kind of that flexibility is nice. It's not hard to stick it on there, but you don't necessarily need to have it.
Yeah, and the last piece that I had is the plug, the male plug that's kind of hanging out of the side. That's a super good idea where you can just plug an extension cord, and then you already, I didn't see it, but I'm sure it's in there. There's probably a power strip in there where you can plug your tools down from below, and kind of keep that all organized. And you got your own, there's probably, a GFCI, adapter in there to some extent. So that's another super good touch where you're not, because that's another thing you're looking for, right? You got to find your tools, then you got to find your cord, and you got to find, your GFI and all the other things that you're going to need. And maybe several cords. So if you have that all in one centralized location, then that's going to take a lot of that walking around. And that's my cord. No, that's not the right color, and all this other nonsense that you're probably going to see, right? That's another really sweet idea. Good idea.
Yeah. So the one I was curious about from your perspective, Matt, is that the little organizer on top. I know there's a lot of little pieces and bits and rings and things that go with electrical. It felt a little open to me. Right? I don't know if maybe they have a way to swap it out so you can have a closed one or replace it. But that was the one thing that struck me as odd. If you're moving throughout the day, that stuff could be banged around or spilled, or maybe hard to take care of.
So I've had a cart super similar to that. Like Henry, we've been using something similar to that for a really long time. And what we ended up doing is we had, for people that were doing a lot more print review, we had like an angled desk made out of Lexan on top, like plastic, that had a little catch so that you can put your drawings up there and kind of review that. Or if you're reviewing on iPads, you can kind of see that there, or a laptop. And for a lot of our installers, we had a similar thing where it was just a flat 2-hinged cover that went on top of all of that. So you had a flat working space, and that locked as well as the inside. So you can keep all of the little parts and pieces. Because what happens is that you're gonna push that cart, you're gonna hit a bump, right? And all of your things are gonna kind of go everywhere. So if you had any sort of like organization within all those little cubbies and all those little areas, it's probably gonna get wrecked the first time you go off-roading with that thing. So that kept it flat. Yeah, I kept it secure anyway.
Yeah, I think that one thing I thought about is we created a box that goes on top of a small cart that has that angled hinge that allows you to set drawings on. You can open the thing up and put your tools or whatever. So when a person's walking around the job site with a drawing, they have enough width on that table space to carry that drawing and all their layout tools, whatever they need, just to make everything mobile. And that's the thing. And I think hopefully that what people are seeing when they watch this video and watching our commentary on it is really, there's so many small improvements you can make. And we know that our greatest risk is in the field. And if we can make our people more efficient, and many times it's not necessarily what we think from the outside, it's asking them, how do we make your life easier and more productive? And those small things that we do and those adjustments that we make to make that person just that more productive in their day is what we should be thriving and striving to do and understand. So hopefully people can take something away from that.
Oh, I agree. It's the little things, right? That was the conduit connector and the ability to stick the ladder. Those little things that were kind of caught your attention, not the big stuff. So good points. Any final thoughts?
I'd love to see more of this in all the trades, right? I'd love to see more people that are finding, innovative ways to do the same thing we've been doing. I mean, to your point, a lot of the course work has been done, and we're at that fine tuning piece where, what can we do, little improvements that we can do to make people's lives easier and make their jobs, day to day more efficient. And so, yeah, this is a great one.
Yeah. So as you're listening to this, and there's ideas you might have in some videos that are wanting to add some videos to this whole platform or fine tune the video. There's no pride in, hey, make it better. So we might think this is the best solution we have for this particular cart, and you might say, this is what I do to make it that much better. And do that. Tell us, please, because we want to hear about it, because it's continuous improvement. And no one's too proud to say my idea is the best and that's it. It's like, no, we want to hear how you would make it better. So let us know.
Yep. And so just to add to that, don't just tell us what your idea is, send us a video of it. So please, one, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel here for Field Crew Huddle, and share your comments, and please submit some videos of what you're working on that we can take a look at and share with the group. Thank you, everybody, for joining. We'll call it for the day.
See you guys.
Cool.
All right.